Under Zachary Taylor that the California gold rush comes about. And we really don't need to know the year that it happens. All we really need to know is our NFL football teams, right? Basically, the California gold rush begins in 1848, and people start flocking into California in 1849. Thus, we have the 49ers. And this is going to happen right under Zachary Taylor's administration. In fact, there's going to be so many people that are going to enter the territory of California that California applies to statehood in 1850. And so California is going to apply for statehood, and it's going to have a constitution that outlaws slavery. So it wants to get into the Union, despite the fact that it's going to be a free state. And of course, this is going to be a major problem within the Senate, because the Senate is still balanced between slave and free, 15 and 15. Now you're bringing in California, and that's going to upset that balance to give more free senators than there are slave senators. The South is geared up for confrontation. John C. Calhoun, he is going to basically say that if California is not compromised to the South's satisfaction, it would secede. No one's going to know where Taylor is going to side on the issue initially. Later, it's going to be known. He's going to say and allow the territories to decide for themselves, and that's the position of his opponent in 1848. Taylor does not oppose slavery, but abhors the issue because it ruins his vision of a continental empire. But he's willing to forego the extension of slavery into the territories. Now, another two major statesmen of the period, Henry Clay and Daniel Webster, will be practically wheeled into the Congress in wheelchairs. They're pretty darn old to negotiate a final compromise, and they come up with the compromise of 1850. What does it say? Well, four things. One, California will be a free state. It's obvious that the people they don't want slavery in its territory. Number two, so that's going to make the North a little bit antsy. So you need to throw a bone to the South. And the one bone to the South is going to be to allow the territories of New Mexico and Utah be determined by popular sovereignty. To let the people in those territories decide whether or not slavery is going to be in those territories. Well, that means that the Missouri Compromise is completely irrelevant. Ironic because of the fact that it was made irrelevant by the man who established the Missouri Compromise, Henry Clay. And so let the people inside these territories decide slavery inside these territories. That's going to make the North a little mad, so you need to throw a bone to them. So you're going to end the slave trade in Washington, D.C. It used to be that you could actually walk off the steps of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. and see slave auctions all over the place. Well, this is going to stop right then and there as a result of the Compromise of 1850. And then finally, of course, there's going to be a final bone to the South, and that's going to be a fugitive slave law. Basically, what it is it's going to allow Southerners to go and find slaves that have escaped from their plantations and from their fields. And it's rather interesting. Fugitive slave. That title is the reason why we put that title on. Is you have to remember that throughout all of human history, slaves are not human beings. They're property. They're movable chattel property. Therefore, if you leave a plantation, if you run away, you're not just running away for your freedom. What you're actually doing are also stealing from your former owner. So you are, in fact, a criminal, a fugitive. So the Fugitive Slave Law would allow the southern slave owners to go into northern states to find their missing slaves. And of course, is there a potential for it to be abused? Absolutely. Basically, the southern slave owners would go, find the first free black they could find, and say, "You're coming with me down to the South," and becoming a slave. So it's not just that we're looking for a specific slave. No, a lot of northern blacks could actually be threatened by this. But nonetheless, this is going to spark a debate between the three men, Clay, Calhoun, and Webster, and it's going to be the last great hurrah for these three guys. And in fact, all three of them will be dead within 2 years. Now, Zachary Taylor is ultimately going to vow to veto any compromise, veto this compromise. But fortunately for the United States, July 4th, 1850 just happened to be a pretty hot month. And Taylor was apparently enjoying the festivities of July 4th by sitting in the White House lawn on a hot day, drinking milk and eating cherries. And for some reason, that's a deadly combination, because within 5 days, Zachary Taylor dies. And it's up now to his new president, his vice president, Millard Fillmore, to steer the country out of this crisis. And basically what he does is he favors the compromise and would sign it if it's passed, particularly if it's passed by individual bills. So Senator Stephen Douglas of Illinois is going to engineer the majorities within the Senate to make sure that these measures reach Fillmore's desk, who of course will eventually sign it. And basically what happens is that the Civil War could have started 10 years before it actually did. But with the untimely death of Zachary Taylor and the willingness of Fillmore to sign the compromise, we have a major crisis averted.